2023 shall come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So made.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary. We approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Before I go to the consent agenda, just FYI for all of us, Mr. Flory is with us tonight telephonically. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor.
To the consent agenda, you have a copy of the minutes of September 18th, 2023. We need approval of the bills and claims, of which you also have a copy. And we have the following licenses and permits: liquor license, Class B, retail alcohol license, that's Pilot Travel. Class C, retail alcohol license, VFW. Those are all renewals. Class E, retail alcohol license, Quick Shop Liquor, that's new. We have a cigarette permit with Quick Shop Liquor, that is new. Street closing request, Clear Lake Wellness Center, Monster Dash and Trunk or Treat event on October the 28th. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mark, seconded by Mike, that we approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Now is the time and place for anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on any item that is not on the agenda. Please approach the podium, state your name first and last, and give your address so that the clerk can properly enter it in the minutes. This is not a discussion time nor a question and answer time, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. Not appearing, we'll move on to unfinished business, of which we have none. We'll go directly to 6, new business. A, demolition and interim site work at 210 North 4th Street. That's the former Woodford Wheeler Lumber Company. And telephonically, introduce Mr. Scott Flory, City Administrator. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Go through these items in your packet with you. We've negotiated a professional services agreement with Beanstra and Kim to prepare the necessary plans and technical documents for soliciting proposals for the demolition and interim site work, as the Mayor indicated, at 210 North 4th Street, which of course is the former Woodford Wheeler Lumber Company property. The project itself will involve the demolition of that existing structure, which is roughly 21,500 square feet. There'll also be some pavement removal. I think there's about 7,000 square foot pavement removal, disposal of the debris, removal of the existing building foundations, as well as footings, and backfilling and compacting of the site. In terms of the interim site work, we'll be including stormwater drainage improvements there, as well as aggregate surfacing, so that we'll be able to utilize the property for short-term purposes for off-street parking. We'll be utilizing on this project, since the estimate of the cost of the project is under the statutory threshold that requires the competitive sealed bid process. In lieu of that, we'll use the competitive quotation process, which you're familiar with. We've used that on several projects previously. The project completion date is February 3rd, 2024, and we picked that so that the site would be available ahead of time for off-street parking purposes for the Color the Wind Kite Festival, which is taking place in 2024 on February 17th, Saturday, of course. The cost of the professional services agreement that's included in your packet is a not-to-exceed figure. It's a not-to-exceed $17,000. The estimated cost of the project for the demolition and site work is estimated at $146,000. And just in the way of a reminder, the council had previously authorized the purchase of this property, and we closed on it in March of 2021. So about 2.5 years down the road here, we're embarking upon the demolition of that. So Since the fall of 2021, if you recall, we had previously been storing the outdoor playground equipment for the South 15th Street Everybody Plays playground project in that building itself. And of course, now that playground equipment has been installed on South 15th Street and removed from that property. So we're in a position now to where we'll be able to demolish that structure. So, and again, if you recall, we had purchased that equipment quite a ways in advance of the construction on South 15th Street, as we had anticipated a rather substantial increase in the cost of that playground equipment. So having that site and that building was rather fortuitous for us. So that's all I've got in terms of any background information. I know Jason Petersburg, the engineer with Beanstrom Kim, is there, and he's going to review the professional services agreement in a little more detail, but I'd be happy to answer any questions if the council has them.
Council, any questions for Scott? None appearing. Thank you, Scott. None appearing. Review a professional services agreement proposal. Jason Petersburg, professional engineer, V&K Engineering. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, Scott gave a good detailed explanation of the project. Just a couple items I wanted to note. The demolition, while it'll be complete by February 3rd, we'll have some temporary granular surfacing in there. It's likely that there will be some drainage improvements and some additional grading work that'll have to be completed in the spring. Storm sewer and grading work doesn't work the best in January, so it'll be included in the full bid package, but the final work will likely be done in the spring. The design phase is the full topo survey, or actually it's a limited topo survey. A lot of the building is, or a lot of the property is building right now, so there's not a lot of survey there. Putting together demolition and site restoration, primarily grading plans, the technical specs, the bidding documents, and then we will distribute plans to bidders and assist the city through the solicitation or soliciting quotes. Demolition services, that's our construction administration put together, contracts, bonds, any shop drawings, and then limited resident review and construction survey. Last item I was going to add was if we want to begin the demolition in January, we're proposing to have the quote documents completed by November and receive quotes mid-December for city council action at their second meeting in December. Questions on that?
Council, any questions for Jason? Thank you, Jason, appreciate it. Therefore, entertain a motion to approve professional services agreement with V&K by the City Council in the amount of not to exceed $17,000 with regard to demo and interim site work at 210 North 4th Street. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Bennett, seconded by Dana, that we approve the professional services agreement. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries 5-0. 6B, rebuilding America's infrastructure with sustainability and equity, commonly known as RAISE. Infrastructure Planning Grant, 4th Avenue South Multimodal Corridor Project. Once again, review by Mr. Flory. Welcome again, Scott.
Thank you for that introduction, Mayor. Just in terms of the project overview, as Mayor's indicated, there's a RFP in your packet that we're seeking council approval to issue that this evening, and what we want to do is solicit competitive proposals from qualified professional consulting firms to determine their skills and capabilities in assisting and providing the city professional consultant services, scope of which would include planning and environmental services, preliminary and final engineering design sufficient enough to advance the development of, as the mayor indicated, the RAISE infrastructure planning grant that the city received from the U.S. Department of Transportation for the 4th Avenue South multimodal corridor project. So again, as you recall, the city was awarded this $300,000 planning grant through the RAISE infrastructure program. We were one of only 2 cities in the state of Iowa to receive that. Cedar Falls being the other. The planning and engineering project would evaluate opportunities and constraints to changes that would be made in the 4-lane 4th Avenue South typical cross section of the street, including lane configuration, as well as consideration of addition of a bike lane or separated bike path. We'll also be addressing, as part of this project, the existing pavement conditions and incorporating access to electric vehicle charging station opportunities along this corridor. The overall goal is to modernize this transportation corridor and increase the access, improve the access and safety for motorists as well as non-motorists traveling between Interstate 35, of course this is the 193 interchange, and downtown Clear Lake, all the way down to the City Beach Park location there. So again, as you're well aware, 4th Avenue South is 4-lane undivided rural cross-section, asphalt road, has gravel shoulders and ditches near the interchange, and then that transitions into more of an urban cross-section of 4-lane undivided street with curb and gutter and storm sewer as it approaches the downtown. So see this as an opportunity to really sort of repurpose this corridor by adding additional transportation options, improving the safety, and improving connectivity between I-35 and downtown Clear Lake, as well as beautifying the corridor. Additionally, as I mentioned, looking at the opportunity to redevelop the pavement in terms of either repaving or reconstructing that rather aged pavement there on 4th Avenue South. So, and as I mentioned, we've been working with Pritchard Corporation there with the electric charging stations that's part of their business to increase the opportunities to accommodate that opportunity as well. Likewise, the trolley trail extension, we're looking at opportunities there to bring that trolley trail in to downtown Clear Lake and City Beach area on 4th Avenue South. So in terms of the overall request for proposal and the scope of what we're looking for in the RFP, of course, community engagement is a significant portion of the study. We're looking at evaluations on that lane configuration, how to best make use of that existing available space. So taking a look at reducing the 4-lane section to the 3-lane section, that's referred to generally as a road diet, similar to what we had done with the DOT on Highway 18 a number of years ago. Of course, environmental review is a significant portion of the project, as is full topographical survey and field survey work for the entire length of the project, and then also preliminary and final engineering design. Last but not least, we'll be having landscape architectural design as part of this project as well, to look at the opportunities for improving the gateway appearance into the downtown. So wanted to try to capitalize on creating a new, very intentional type entrance to draw visitors to our community. So in terms of the proposal itself, if you look through the proposal, you'll identify what we're looking for in terms of the requirements of the proposal, similar to what we require on most all other projects. There's a few additional items because of the federal funding that's involved. We have to kind of be consistent with what the U.S. DOT is looking for. In particular on this one would be the disadvantaged business enterprise aspects of the proposal. Also, we'll be having an evaluation team of city officials. We've got 5 identified, possibly that we might expand that a little bit more. If any additional council members were interested in participating, we might add additional staff member to that as well. For sure, not less than the 5 that you see there represented in the proposal, and maybe as many as 7 or 9 on that team. So in terms of the evaluation criteria, we'd be scoring it based on a 100-point matrix, and we assign 30 points for the qualifications and experience, 30 points for scope and approach, 20 points for project management, 15 points for the project timeline, and then 5 points for the DBE participation. So last but not least, the proposal evaluation timeline that we've laid out and the RFP would require that proposals be submitted by the close of business on October 26th. 7th. We would then follow that up with our selection committee, the scoring and review of those RFPs. Then we would invite the consultants in for a formal interview. That would either be in person or Zoom. And then we would evaluate a final ranking and then bring back to the council a recommendation for award for the project. So the only other thing I would mention is in terms of the actual project completion date for this, the planning portion of the project, we're still negotiating some aspects of our agreement with the Department of Transportation, but that will either be in January or March of 2025. This planning project would be completed. So I don't have anything further. I know that's a lot of information, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
First of all, thank you very much for quarterbacking this whole application, and certainly the fact that we were one of two to receive this United States Department of Transportation RAISE grant. Congratulations to the entire city for getting that. That's really a tremendous feat, and certainly in an area that we have all looked at, I think, for a number of years, done patching here, patching there, and so on. And this will really enlighten that whole area from I-93 exit into our South 8th. I believe that's the total distance of it all. And as you said, a great number of improvements need to be and will be completed when this is fulfilled. So thank you. Council, any other comments?
Go ahead.
I would just add one more thing, Mayor. Thank you for that. I just add special recognition for Councilmember Hughey on this one. This is something that Gary and I kind of started talking about with the need to make some pavement rehabilitation to 4th Avenue South, and lo and behold, this opportunity came up, and it was a good one for us to capitalize on and look at what we want to do with 4th Avenue South. But originally it was something kind of him and I were talking about what we needed to do with 4th Avenue South. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, Mayor, I think a terrific opportunity to beautify that corridor, and as Scott, as you said, to improve it as a gateway feature to our community, and the opportunity to do that. So just terrific that we got the grant, and I think it presents another unique opportunity to really improve the look of the entrance to main entrance to Clear Lake. So thank you, Mayor.
Mike?
As usual, a few questions. My understanding is the grant primarily helps with the planning of the project and not any of the actual funding of whatever comes out of the planning. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So we're looking at, and will the scope of the project, you mentioned the trolley trail, will it go clear east to where the trolley trail comes off the south side of B35 and wanders over by the trolley barn there?
That's correct. It'll look, that will be the eastern limit of the project. They'll be looking at opportunities to continue the trolley trail without having to cross Highway 106.
So possibly once again in the ditch on the south side, maybe past Come and Go and on.
Certainly a possibility.
I mean, something along those lines, but without crossing the busy street.
That's correct.
Yeah, I know people get tired of hearing me, but I remember the South Highway, or B35, in my lifetime being a state highway, 106. So pretty much all of that, anything along there would have at one point be funded directly by the state of Iowa as a state highway. And then eventually it became B35, and of course everything else changed when the city limits of Clear Lake expanded to the east, clear out to Furley Boulevard, or whatever that street's called in reality there. But so a lot of changes there. But yeah, departing not too long from now, I would just throw out one thing. I'm guessing this is going to be a significantly expensive project with all of the different things that are being talked about here. So I would make some sort of a wild suggestion that as we move forward here, we put some money aside in the subsequent year's budgets over the course up through 2025 to help cover some of these expenses. So once again, we don't have to borrow more than we need to. Last dying words from Councilman Callanan. I'll shut up now.
Yeah, I just add on that, thanks, Mike, for that. That's good information. I would only add on to that our hope would be that once the U.S. DOT takes a liking to these projects, so they liked our project, they're basically paying for the entire planning and engineering and design of it. Our intent would then be to continue to pursue the same kind of funding for the construction. So we hope to be able to build a positive momentum and continue to seek these additional raised dollars to help pay for, as you're talking about, the construction improvements.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Council. Therefore, entertain a motion to approve and authorize the issuance of an RFP, request for proposal with regard to rebuilding America's infrastructure, sustainability, and equity, a raised grant that we have received for 4th Avenue South Multimodal Corridor Project. Motion, please.
So moved.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Mark, that we approve the issuance of an RFP. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. 6C, purchase of a 2024/25 Freightliner 108 SD plus single-axe truck chassis and cab from Truck Center Companies of Clear Lake. Review of bids and recommendation. Jeremy Kornberg, Public Works Director. Welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I have a bid summary there on the yellow page, followed by a kind of a stock photo of the truck that would be proposed. And then the salmon colored sheets are the actual proposal from Truck Center Companies. So as part of our budget process, we budgeted approximately $260,000 for the purchase of a new single axle plow truck that's outfitted with belly scraper, wing, front plow, sander, and pre-wet brine system. This portion of it is just the chassis and cab. The outfitting of the plow and underbelly and all that is a separate bid item, or it would be bid out separately. So we submitted and asked for proposals from a couple local companies, International over in Mason City, and then Truck Center Companies here in Clear Lake. We were only able to receive one bid, and that came from Truck Center Companies. International did not submit a bid. They didn't have any idea of when they had build slots or at the time even pricing for a new truck. So we received a bid from Truck Center Companies out of out of Clear Lake. It was for a 24/25. It's gonna deliver. It would deliver probably in the spring sometime. They just didn't know exactly what their quote unquote year would be on the truck by then. So most likely it's a 24, but it'd be a 24/25 International Freightliner 108 SD Plus. It's just a single axle truck, just similar to the blue plow trucks we already have. One of them's an International, one of them's a Freightliner. It's pretty much the Freightliner's a 2018. This is just a new version of that. So their bid for the truck was $110,358. If you add on the extended warranties for drivetrain, transmission, et cetera, the total bid comes to $115,122. This would replace a 19, I think it's a, let's see, what year is it? It's an old truck. 1996 International, one of the old red trucks that's been in the fleet for almost, what is that, 30 years almost? So that truck would be kept. It would just be repurposed. We use those for water main breaks, other street projects. We would also maintain the snow plow equipment on there just for an emergency situation if we had a truck go down. They are actually quite useful in those instances. These new trucks are very efficient. This one truck would essentially could replace our 2 red trucks on one route. It'll also give me the opportunity to go through our routes and probably make them much more efficient and get better use out of our end loaders in situations. So the 3 blue trucks would probably take over 90% of the plowing, except for the downtown area and some cul-de-sacs. So they're a very efficient truck and get a lot of work done. So like I said, we have a 2015 International similar truck and a 2018 in the fleet already, and a lot of good things about those trucks. So any questions for me about this?
Council, any questions for Jeremy?
No questions, but just a quick comment. A 1996 truck that's still very functional. Talk about getting value out of something.
We have a 96 and there's a 2000 that we still both
Yeah,
use.
I
So
mean,
that's-
that's just music to my heart, I guess. Yeah, recently I've replaced all the 25-year-old appliances in my house, and I'm anticipating the new ones won't last 25 years. So the good old days, I guess.
I should mention that hopefully we will have all the bids in for the plow equipment this week, and we should have that ready for the next council meeting. That equipment, talking to the vendors, won't actually be available until after July 1 of '24, so we'll have to do some budget amendment and push that off till next year. But the total chassis and truck package should be available before winter of '24. So just looking at our timelines of equipment, so.
Any other comments, questions for Jeremy? Thank you, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Therefore, I'll entertain a motion to approve and authorize purchase of a 2024-25 Freightliner 108 SD plus single axle truck chassis and cab from Truck Center Companies, Clear Lake, Iowa, in the amount of $115,122. Motion, please.
So offered.
Second.
Moved by Mike, seconded by Dana, that we approve this purchase. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carries. Thank you. 6D, South Shore Estates Residential Subdivision, the final plat. Intro again. Mr. Flory, welcome again, Scott.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. A number of items here in your packet on this topic. You've got a letter of recommendation from the city's Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as a resolution that would approve the final plat for South Shore Estates subdivision, copies of the restrictive covenants that are associated with the subdivision, as well as the final plat itself. So just in the way of some review, back in November of 2022, the Planning and Zoning Commission, as well as the council, had each approved a preliminary plat for this subdivision. Previously, it was known, of course, as Lake Time Subdivision. So since the preliminary plat, we've had a change in name. So now it is referred to as South Shore Estates Subdivision. Property, of course, is located there north of State Park at 2605 South Shore Drive and is roughly a 7.5 acre parcel. Just as a reminder, if you recall, we went through a rezoning for this property. It was previously zoned RS5, which is single-family, low-density residential, and we had changed that zoning following notice and hearing to RS8 medium density single family residential. And primarily that zoning change simply enabled construction of twin home opportunities within the subdivision. So when you look at that final plat of South Shore Estate before you, you'll see that that is a 30 lot, buildable lot. There are 2 outlots, but there are 30 buildable lots in this residential subdivision, and that contains both a mix of single-family homes as well as twin homes. And if memory serves, I'll let either Wayne or Jeff or Brian, whoever is there, correct me on that, but I think there are about 14 or 16 twin homes, and the rest are single-family homes in that subdivision. So Mr. Ritter is going to review with you the presentation that was made to the Planning and Zoning Commission on September 26th and the recommendation that the commission has forwarded on to the council. I just want to mention that we did receive the necessary performance bond from the developer for the project, indicating the estimated value of the improvements, which is $1,437,330. That's for the entire subdivision. Following the approval of the plat by the council at a subsequent meeting, we'll be able then to consider the development agreement that we've tentatively negotiated with the developer for this project, but we've held off on bringing that forward until we had the final plat and construction documents approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission, and there were some issues that we wanted to take our time with regarding stormwater and the stormwater report and the impact on the associated neighboring properties. So we're in a good situation on those now. And lastly, I just wanted to also remind the council that we had previously approved an urban revitalization program for this subdivision, and that will provide a property tax abatement in this subdivision. But just as a reminder, that tax abatement is limited only to the first $75,000 worth of assessed or actual valuation. So just kind of some rough calculations based on what we think the anticipated assessed value of these properties will be. That should translate somewhere around $1,000 off of the property taxes annually for 5 years in this case. So I don't have anything further unless anyone has any questions before either the developer or Mike goes next.
Okay, questions for Scott, council? Thank you, Scott. Review of proposal, final plat, Wayne, Jeff,
Yeah, Council Mayor.
welcome.
Yeah, glad to be back. Yes, as Scott went through well documented, is that we have a 30-lot subdivision. Slight changes from what you saw before, but one of the considerations we always had is making sure that we had accommodated to the best abilities both the existing properties to the north and south, and of course part of its majority of the south is the state park, but we have residences to the north and to the south, and we don't want to impact them adversely, particularly with stormwater design. So that was accommodated by making sure that through the design process we're going to be able to mitigate any problems, actually reduce the problems that they have on some of those north lots that have some existing flooding. Again, just to reiterate it, it stretches from Lake Shore to the Southview Drive, 30 lots. And as you look at your plat there, you can notice on the right side, the east side, I kind of describe that as a panhandle of the project. We're developing those lots, those 16 lots for twin homes, and using the footprints, unique footprints of those homes, because of the fact that the lots on that panhandle area are quite short. You know, they aren't the standard depth that you would have on subdivision, which I think really created issues for other developers of this parcel. So that was something we were able to work with the staff, P&Z, to help us to figure out how to best accommodate that, which has been a really good experience. As far as the just going back, as far as design, sanitary sewer comes from the west and services all that property. Water main will actually come from west and loop back to the east. Storm sewer as a whole, gravity-wise, will go from the north and go through to the south, as it always has. We will be providing within outlot 2, I believe, or Outlot 1, I'm sorry. That is the interior of the cul-de-sac, and that represents a retention pond to help reduce the amount of runoff to acceptable levels as it goes south and then eventually through to the lake. What's nice about this is you don't have much property to go through as far as after we discharge from the pond before it gets to the lake. It's, rather short travel for that rainwater. As far as the cul-de-sac itself, you kind of see that uniqueness of it, and that is a one-way around that cul-de-sac itself. It is designed to accommodate large vehicles and snow plows, as Jeremy was saying, and as far as the any other fire trucks and any other utility vehicles will accommodate that. You'll be able to use that cul-de-sac easily. I think that's kind of the primer to it. I can certainly entertain any questions that you might have.
How many twin homes total?
Total of 16.
16?
Yes.
Okay.
8 on each side there.
Yep, 8 on the north, 8 on the south. Yep,
And the total number of lots are 30?
30, correct.
Okay, thank you. Mike?
I've got a question, and it might be spelled out here, but I'm just not picking up on it, and I did try to read the covenant document here. Do you have language in there that, and this is kind of a touchy subject to me, forbids short-term rental?
Correct. There is.
Okay, and is that what's contained in number 1 there? Shall not be improved, used, or occupied for, oh boy, doesn't like me, other than private single-family resident purposes?
That would cover it too, but I think there is a clause in there. I can't remember the exact document number, but it's
Boy,
does not allow for
Jump in there.
30
I
days.
think it's on page 4 and it's double A, Mike.
Yeah.
Find
Okay.
that one.
Double.
Where it prohibits short-term rentals.
Ah, perfect. Yeah, I didn't see that.
It took me 3 or 4 times.
But I was searching, but where's Terry Unsworth when you need him?
I think it's page 4. and
I know,
it's double A.
I just found it. Thank you. Well, it's become a real issue in Clear Lake, and I know we have lots of residents that aren't real thrilled with all the short-term rentals in their residential neighborhoods, and I know if I were buying here, that would be very important to me, and I'm glad you've covered it, so thank you very much.
Well, I was just going to say, the progress you guys are making out there looks fantastic. Are you getting to the point you want before winter hits, or how would you evaluate the progress on the project? What's that?
We're trying very hard.
Yeah, it looks great, so, yeah.
Any other comments, questions? Council? Thank you. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Welcome.
As Scott alluded to at the P and Z meeting on the 26th, we did the review on it and voted to approve it for recommendation for council. Just in the last few days, I've been out there just for an update. Of the 8 units that'll be the 16 twin homes, there's 6 of them that have the footing and foundations in the ground, and they're currently working on water and sewer inside the buildings, and they've actually started pouring the slab. One of them got poured earlier today. I think the second one's coming, 2 of them, I think, tomorrow, getting poured on the slabs. So I think their plan is close to get the infrastructure between water testing and air testing on the water and sewer pipes underneath each of the units, get that all prepped so they can start framing next weekish or 2 weeks from now. They're going to get some packages out there. They want to get a good portion of the twin homes framed in before winter so they can work on them ready for the spring. So that's kind of my update so far. I'll be out there tomorrow morning.
Great. And FYI, this is Mike Ritter, our building official, and he's giving the recommendation from the Planning and Zoning Commission with thumbs up, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments at all, council, before I ask for a motion? Okay. Therefore, entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2335, a resolution approving final plat for South Shore Estates subdivision.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Bennett, that we approve Resolution 2335. Is there any further discussion? Roll call. Mark?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett?
Yes.
And Dana?
Yes.
Motion carries 5-0, and Resolution 2335 is duly adopted. Thank you, Wayne and Jeff. Appreciate your being here tonight. Thanks. Number 7, Interim Chief of Police Report. Welcome.
Council, three quick items for you. We've talked in the past about the outdoor warning siren project that's been going on countywide, and the construction of all the new sirens kicked off last week on the 28th. Just a couple reminders for you. We have currently 24 sirens in the county. That'll be going to 33 sirens. It's a $1.2 million grant that County Emergency Management applied for that's going to pay for all this. And the new sirens are activated in 3 ways. One, the county can activate the Clear Lake sirens if needed. Clear Lake can activate county sirens if needed. And the biggest feature of the new program is we've all seen on the radar, the National Weather Service issues their maps and the polygons of where the storm warnings are. The new sirens, if they are inside that polygon, they will automatically be activated by the National Weather Service, so that eliminates the delay, the dispatch centers having to get the information from the National Weather Service and then activating those sirens. It also enables the system to be very specific where it's activated. So if you had sirens that were on the west side of the lake that need to be activated and not on the east side, then it would specifically just activate those ones, whereas currently it's either all or none. So it's a much more advanced system there, and it's got 3 redundancies in it to activate that as well too. So that kicked off last week on Thursday, and it's scheduled to be done by the end of the year. So by the time we get to next storm season, we should be fully functional and up and running. So we're adding the 9 sirens as well. So next, we're prepared for Harvest Festivals coming up next weekend on Saturday. So our CSO will be in early in the morning to set up for that. The PD is ready. We've worked with the chamber on that, and so we encourage everybody to come out and enjoy the activities for Harvest Festival coming up. It'll be our first real fall weather day as the weather turns to get cold, looks like, for us. And the last thing is, I just found out yesterday that the PD was awarded about just short of $2,000 in a burn jag grant to pay for our ballistic vests that we buy for the officers every year. That equates to about 2 vests of the 4 we buy every year too. So that will alleviate some of our funding there and cover half that cost for us too. So the actual number is $1,914 too. So our prices have gone up, so that every little bit helps there. So that's all I have for you though. Let's give any questions or
Just
comments.
wanted, the football game last Friday, and you were a part of that, and what a neat recognition that was for the deceased officer at Algona, where you had the Clear Lake PD along with, working with the Algona crowd and flipping of the coin, and just the fact that you were there and that they were taking half of the proceeds from the concession stand that night went to the family.
Yeah, for those that weren't there, it was Officer Hillier from Algona, so he's an Algona police officer. New Officer Cram worked with him, and he was a Clear Lake resident, grew up here and graduated from high school here and is now an officer over there. And then Chief Dodge, who's the Garner police chief, is also a coach for the football team. And then, so yeah, they had a nice ceremony at the beginning and a moment of silence for Kevin. And there was some additional money raised and donations taken as well too there. So it was a good event. The fire department was out there as well with the flag up at the south end zone too. So it was put together very nicely by the schools to honor Officer Cram and the sacrifices.
Yeah, that was really neat to see in front of a packed audience there, both sides, really. That was so.
It was a good game too.
Yeah, quite a game. It really was. So we came out in the end. Thank goodness. That was good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Public Works Director's report. Welcome again, Jeremy.
Thanks again, Mayor, Council. Not too much to report. Large item started today, so didn't really have a chance to talk to anybody after the first day, but usually the first day is the best day. So they hit it hard. As far as fall work goes, after we get done with this week, we'll start hitting fall cleanup for us, which means a lot of street sweeping. Obviously, you can tell leaves are falling everywhere. Just a word to the community, please don't blow your leaves into the road. Our street sweepers do a phenomenal job cleaning the streets, and they do get a lot of the leaves out of the road, but the excess leaves will clog those machines, and they end up going around some of the larger piles that they can't get through. We get some calls and complaints about that, but if it's too thick, it just doesn't work. So just a heads up there. And then, like he mentioned, Harvest Festival this weekend, so we'll be getting barricades set out and everything for them. And then beyond that, we've already started some snow I shouldn't say it, but snow removal equipment prep for the winter. So just kind of that fall cleanup for us as well. So any questions for anything we have going on?
I emphasize that, this time of the year, the amount of money that we have spent over the last 20 years on the restoration of that lake, now is a very critical time to keep those leaves, grass clippings, any other foreign type things that would tend to add to the pollution of the lake. And I don't mean the word add to, meaning that it is already,
Yep.
but that we don't need any at all to be in there. And I do believe there is an ordinance
Yep, there is.
that covers that as well.
Yep,
So-
and then we'll also, hopefully here in the next, we tend to wait till more leaves are down, but we'll start our storm sewer cleaning as well. So every fall, we go through and we jet and vac all of our storm sewers as well. So we got a really tight time frame to get that done, because we tend to wait till most of the leaves are down. Sometimes we get caught with the snow in there, and then it kind of halts all our operations, but it doesn't really do us any good to go clean them now and then know they're going to get filled back in here in the next few weeks. So we got a lot of maintenance here in the next 6 weeks. So
Thank you.
yeah, thanks.
Under mayor's report, neither Stacy nor Chad are here tonight, but once again, our city clerk, Jen, is the chair of Harvest Festival, and as Interim Chief Colby said, that'll be a big day Saturday. We hope that Old Man Winter doesn't come too quick there, but he has done it on that day before. I want to congratulate the Clear Lake Fire Department for that wonderful breakfast, pancake breakfast Sunday morning. When I was there, that place was packed and the line was almost out to 8th Street there. And they feed a lot of people in a quick amount of time, and it was a fun time. It really was. Just want to indicate to those of us that are here and others that right now, Jen, Scott, and myself, we're out at the Pritchard area because of the renovation that's about to start within the next 2 weeks here on City Hall with the security and ADA renovation. So if you want to find at least the three of us for a while, we will be the only ones out there, but shortly the rest of our office will join us, and we thank Public Works guys for doing the lugging of stuff out there for us. We'd like to keep a few people here right now, at least through this week, while we have large item pickup to kind of help out with that situation. But we think that I just noticed this one the other day, but the new electronic sign is out there on Highway 18 and on a piece of property that we, the city, own, and the other 3 standing boards, which contain a lot of different types of messages over the years. They're down now. We have no telephone poles out there in the Emerald Edge subdivision, so that really looks neat, and that's a very, very neat sign. What else I had one? Oh, right here in front of me, this star is what we have been talking about for the last couple of meetings anyway, but the last Thursday night, Scott Flory, Jen, Bennett, and Dana, myself, received the All-Star Community Award for towns population 3,000 to 10,000 from the League of Cities down at Cedar Rapids at their state convention, and we are very proud of this particular award. It shows what collaboration, there are a lot of C's anymore, but collaboration or cooperation or communication, whatever you want to use there, the state calls it collaboration, and in this case it was with our school board and our city council, and if you look at that, that's 2/3 of your property tax right there. 1/3 school, 1/3 city, the rest goes to a variety of other places. But as a result of the building of our athletic and wellness center and the collaboration with the school district and a lot of other people, including great construction by Snyder Construction here in Clear Lake, as well as Atura Architecture, that is certainly a wonderful, wonderful facility. I believe we do now have close to 1,000 contracts, which makes about 2,300 individuals that can come through the door on any particular day. Sometimes they're ungodly hours, 3 days a week. I understand that ungodly hour, right, Mark? Yes. It's a great facility. The state thought it was a great facility, and we got that wonderful award. We're very, very proud of that. The council is really the people behind it all, as well as the entire community, and working with the school board. So a great award for this great town. I think I have gone through everything we talked about. Oh, the young people. Our football team is undefeated. Varsity football team is undefeated. Our cross-country boys and girls have been doing very, very well, as I've read, individually as well as team. And volleyball is doing one of the best seasons they've had in quite some time. So go Lions. Public Mayor, City Administrator, we're back on. Are you still there, Mr. Flory? Did you fall asleep on us? Or?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Mayor. I'll just go through these real quick since you talked quite a bit about the Wellness Center. I'll just give a quick, brief update there. You're doing initial interviews with candidates, and I would just report back that we have probably 4 really strong candidates for that position. So very pleasantly surprised with what I would call a rather robust applicant pool this time around for that. So hopefully be proceeding with some final interviews here in the next couple of weeks and get an offer out to a successful candidate, but definitely had a nice, strong response to our solicitation there. So did want to mention, just give a quick update on South 15th Street, Everybody Plays Park and Playground project. This is from the contractor, just a quick update. That this week they're finishing concrete work. They're also continuing to finalize the spreading of the black dirt. So if you've been out there, you've seen a lot of that activity going on. They anticipate starting seeding and mulching and probably some tree planting and maybe some landscaping install yet this week as well. Also kind of sealing joints and caulking, finalizing that as well. They think next week they'll be starting on the installation of the zip line playground feature out there. Also, they have some, I think, one more storm sewer intake you mentioned to complete, a water hydrant, and again, some more landscaping to do. If you've been out there lately, you've seen the fence recently installed, so that looks really nice there as well. They think next week they'll be starting on the retaining wall and then start the installation of the splash pad features along with benches around the splash pad. They are still waiting on a couple of items for the electrical box as well as some panels for the restrooms, which they think they will have this week. And then I think one more item they're waiting on, there's those panels that are outside, kind of the decorative style panels that are outside of the restrooms. Are still waiting on those to come in as well. But they're scheduled, they're probably a little bit behind where they had hoped to be, but some of that relates, of course, to delivery of the materials. But they're making strong progress this week and hope in the next week to two to really have the bulk of the work behind them. I did want to mention also on the mayor mentioned the City Hall administrative side, remodeling, security upgrade, ADA project. That bids the 10th at 2 p.m. So that will be an item on the next council agenda. So we hope we did have a pre-bid meeting. We had a couple of contractors here for that, and they showed pretty strong interest in that. So we walked them through the building and went over the scope of the project with them. So we hope, again, we'll have strong interest in that project and be able to bring back a favorable bid for your consideration at the October 16th meeting. And then the last item I wanted to mention was one of those items that we had talked about quite some time ago. We had approved engineering services agreement with a firm to do the repainting of the I-35 water tower, and we hope to present those final plans and set the bid date on that. We hope to present that at the next council meeting on October 16th, and then again complete that project in the spring of next year. So, and that's all I have, unless there are any questions.
Questions for Scott?
I don't have a question for him, but I'd like to bring one other thing up before we adjourn, if I can, Your Honor. I got a call from a citizen, and they were quite upset because they were walking down the sidewalk on Main Avenue, East Main, and a youngster came along on what they described as an electric bike going very fast on the sidewalk. And if you've noticed kids riding these things, they treat them like a moped, they treat them like a scooter. And, you know, like most kids, they've got one speed, wide open or stopped. And I bring this up because I don't know whether it's going to require an ordinance action or what, but we might consider some sort of an ordinance that electric bicycles are not allowed on Clear Lake sidewalks because it seems like kids are riding them on sidewalks. I've actually seen a couple of them come by my house on the sidewalk. They were not doing excessive speed, but you know, there can be a problem there. So, for the good of the order, moving forward, it's something you might consider or at least have a conversation about. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Anything else, council? Meeting adjourned. Thank you. Miss you, Scott.